All right.
All right, let's do it. We're back again.
Back in business, baby.
Season 1,
All right.
episode 11, the Nikki and Fitz show. We're back doing what we do. It was a great week of college football. Basketball started. I know we're not going to talk about it, but got to give credit to JMU knocking out Michigan State. Can we
Right.
elaborate on that for a minute, Nikki?
Yeah. How about that, huh? JMU undefeated in football,
Yes.
and the basketball team takes out the Spartans in East Lansing.
In East Lansing. And they were in East Lansing, they were up by like 3 minutes left. And JMU kept clawing at it, took it to OT, and then dominated them in overtime. But December 1 will get fully in the basketball. But I had to mention that because I have some friends' kids that go there, and they're ecstatic about the W. All right.
Right.
And the football team's 9-0, and they're trying. I was just reading they're trying to get a remediation on the two-year ban on bowls. Because they
deserve it, man. They deserve to go to a bowl.
They do. You know? I wouldn't want to play them. If I was Power 5, I don't want anything that says JMU on it. I don't want to play it.
Right.
By the way, it's a very fun school too. People are having fun. All right.
All right.
So that's going on. Maryland loses again. Loxley's in the hot seat. I don't know if you saw his presser, but after that game, he looked like a beaten dog. He looked like a beaten man, like he was done. I mean, he was almost in tears. I think he was overwhelmed by how badly they lost.
Right.
One of the worst lines in the history of lines. Dropped down to 8.5 before the game. Dropped 4 points during the week. Four. Unbelievable, right? Unprecedented. Right. I guess the public really liked Maryland.
Right.
I mean, what did you think about it? Did you watch any of that?
I watched parts of it. I thought, there's a reason that Penn State's won the overwhelming majority of the game. They have better players. They have guys like the tackle from Maryland.
Got a lot of
defensive end. Yeah, the defensive end, Chop Robinson. They've got a lot of talent on the team.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference. Yeah.
They're 43-3-1 against Maryland.
Yeah.
I hate Penn State. I mean, they just drum us.
Right.
At home, on the road, at a neutral site, it doesn't matter. They're going to drum us.
Right.
And then Jimbo Fisher loses again. I mean, at home.
Right.
Against Ole Miss and old Lane Kiffin.
Right.
Can't stand that Lane Kiffin. I'm not a big fan of his.
Right.
He's a punk.
Right.
But he wins games, man. I love that. See him on the Maryland sideline.
Right.
I think he's a pretty good coach.
Right.
And he's got it good there, I think, right?
Yeah, at Ole Miss.
Yeah. I mean, it's 13th grade and all the exemptions you need academically to get players in.
Right.
And then the Michigan scandal looks like the Big Ten commissioner grew a pair over the weekend, Nick.
Yeah, well, he's got to establish that he's in charge. He can't, he's got to lay into Michigan a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're going to be banned from the playoff when it comes down to it at the end.
That's why, they may deserve it, Yeah. I mean, this isn't like some renegade guy, young kid who went off on his own and did some stupid shit.
No way that kid did it on his own. No way. He wouldn't have the guts to do it. He's a grad assistant, man.
Yeah.
That comes from the top, and they're telling him what to do and how to do it.
Right.
So the last topic before we get started into the games is, there's all the undefeateds won. They're still whatever they are, 8, 9, and 0. But you do have Texas, Bama, Oregon, Penn State, Ole Miss lurking with one loss.
Right.
And I know Penn State and Ole Miss play 2 of those undefeated teams this week, right?
That's right.
So one of them is going to have another loss or is going to be out with 2 losses. I think you're out because you have 10 teams with 1 loss or less.
Right. You're right.
You only have 4 spots in the playoff. I mean, I'm just talking playoff now. The Bulls,
Right.
they fall in the line once the playoff
Right.
gets settled. But still think that Washington is the odd man out. But they keep winning and they win convincingly. I mean, they're not like sleepwalking over anybody. And Bama looking real tough, man.
Right.
They look like a team that's gonna say something by the end of the year, especially when in Georgia in that SEC championship game. I think Bama could beat them, man. Milrose
Yeah,
finally
sure.
found it, right? I mean, you watch
Right.
any of that? I watched a little bit of that. That was impressive. I mean, I had
Right.
LSU winning that game, but Bama's just too good defensively, and they're really offensive. They've woken up.
Right. And
So
it's a great coaching job by all their coaches,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they got beat pretty soundly by Texas, and they just pulled the car into the garage, opened up the hood, changed the quarterback a little bit, changed back, moved some people around,
yeah.
and now they're rolling pretty good.
Rolling really good. So let's recap a little bit. I was 15-5 off our picks last week.
How about that, huh? That's
a pretty good week.
That's unbelievably good.
That's a good week. So let's
right.
No,
From the top. Let's take it from the top.
I know I gotta find the list. Here it is right here, okay?
Okay.
From the
All right.
top, I liked West Virginia over BYU. I told you they thump them on that road trip. They had never seen an environment like that. Boom.
Right.
Crushed them, right?
That was a strong pick, yeah.
I liked Arizona at home on the money line, even though they're home underdogs. Boom. Beat UCLA straight up. They're a good team, man. They're a good
Arizona
team.
is a physical team. I mean, they tag people when they hit them.
You think that coach is up for a big gig after this year? Because Arizona is a stepping stone job, right?
Right. I mean, I don't know. Like I followed that program a little bit. My understanding was that Kevin Sumlin wasn't doing a great job there, and they got stumped so badly by Arizona State 2 years ago that they had to make a coaching change. So they brought him in, and he's done fantastically well.
Yeah,
he's one of these coaches who's never played football. He never played college or high school or anything, I don't think.
Yeah. But I think he's up for a major job after this year. I don't think he stays there, to be honest with you. Maybe the job at Florida
could be, yeah.
With Napier getting thumped, and you get that guy to come in, who's a Gator, right? He's an alum.
He is an alum, yeah.
So the other pick I won a double shot on was Washington over USC, and then you said the money line was 76, and he goes, and you said that's a huge line, and I said I like the over because it's so. Remember that?
Right.
They blew over that. I think the final.
They blew over that mostly in the third quarter.
52-42, right?
Yeah.
Final.
Yeah.
I loved LSU beating them. They lost. That's an L.
Right.
Your pick of the week was Stanford versus Washington State.
Yeah.
60.5. You like the under 10-7. I don't know what the weather was like, but God, that was terrible. Loved Ole Miss.
Well, it was good. It was good, but it was a terrible game.
Yeah.
But it was good for us.
Loved Ole Miss over A&M. Ole Miss beat them. Like Clemson over ND. I said I wish Notre Dame was winning, but I think Clemson's going to beat them at home, and they thumped them. They shouldn't have beat them though. I mean, Notre Dame was right in that game. They just couldn't get over the top. And Clemson's running back, that Maffa kid, he's an NFL. He looks like an NFL running back. He's a beast. Love Rutgers, lost that 18.5. They lost by 19, but they played Ohio State tough.
They played them tough, yeah.
I saw some.
I saw snapshots of it. I did not watch the whole game.
Yeah, so did I.
But they did play them tough.
I thought they would. Shiano's a good coach.
Right.
He coached at Ohio State.
Right.
He knows, a lot of not the personnel, but he knows their schemes. So I thought they
Right.
would play him tougher. I mean, 18.5, I thought was Liddell. Loved K-State on the money line over versus Texas, and lost that, but won it on the spread because they
Right.
lost by 3. K-State should have won that game.
K-State was way down. They were getting buried.
Yeah, it
And
was like
then,
27-7 or something, or
yeah.
21-7. It was a beatdown early on, but they started coming back,
Right.
and they missed a chip shot toward the end of regulation with a few minutes left that would have won the game.
Right.
It was like a
Right.
29-yarder or something. They pushed it
Right.
wide right. That
Right.
that was close. K-State played
Right.
Texas tough, but so I split that. Lost Nebraska over Michigan State. Michigan beat them straight out. I mean, Michigan State, look, maybe they've woken up a little bit. I mean, I still think they're a terrible team and a program in disarray. And it looks like Urban Lyers negotiated a contract to be their next coach. I don't know if you heard that or not.
No, what's team? Michigan State?
Yeah, Urban Lyers looking at a $10 million a year contract with them and is in negotiations to sign it. I think he's waiting to see where other jobs open up.
Right.
Because there'll be some jobs opening up. There's no doubt. I mean, there's too much at stake. There's too much money at stake. Jobs open up a lot quicker than they used to, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Love Utah at home. They played better at home. They thumped Arizona State by like 40, right?
Crushed them.
Yeah, 55-7 or something, 55-3.
Yeah.
So the Iowa Northwestern game, I took Northwestern, but and I covered on that, and then we took the over at 31.5. So we won one, we lost one there.
Right.
Like Missouri, they played Georgia tough, and I think Missouri, Georgia had some nice stops at the end. Missouri played with them. I saw the highlights of that game, like a abbreviated version of the game. That was a close game.
Right.
Closer to the score. That covered. Oklahoma State won outright. Called that. I didn't like Oklahoma with their defense being so weak. In that Bedlam game, I said that game's always tough, and Oklahoma State plays them tough. I don't know why. Interstate thing, right? And they beat them at home, man. That was a good win, and the game probably wasn't as close as the score came out at the end. Kind of they hung on, but Oklahoma has no defense, man. They had given me no confidence to do anything.
Right.
I want to take off that hat next week.
Right.
Love Penn State against Maryland, even though I'm a Maryland guy.
Right.
I'm a betting man, right?
Right.
And you got to call the shots the way you see them. And I thought 8.5 is a joke. I mean, they're gonna beat Maryland badly, and they did.
Right. Right.
Love Kansas against Iowa
15-5 is great, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Iowa State. We talked about this. I thought Kansas would beat them. I thought that was a bad line. Iowa State favored by 2.5. You thought that as well, that line was kind of stinky, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they got bumped. What other games you want to discuss from last week? Because that's kind of a abbreviated version. Arkansas, Florida. UF could have won that game.
USC fired their defensive coordinator.
Rightly so, man. But Lincoln Riley, offensive genius. He reminds me a little bit of Loxley. Has the offense, is a guru on the offensive side, but maybe not a great head coach. Right? Maybe not a great CEO of a program is what I've been told about Loxley. Good coach, nice guy. Everyone likes him. I love the guy, but maybe not a great CEO of the program.
Right.
So, maybe I think Lincoln Riley's made for the pros more than the college game, to be honest with you, with his offensive skill.
Right.
And then Indiana beat Wisconsin. I thought that was a nice win for Indiana, right?
Tom Allen gets a nice win. That's right.
Yeah. terrible quarterback play by Wisconsin. I mean, Lou Fickle's going to take some time to get his dudes in there, and
Right.
he'll win there.
Right.
But they got to get to Wisconsin football. You know, throwing the ball in November in Wisconsin, forget it, man. You got to pound the ball.
Right.
That's how they've won in the
Right.
past. That's their
Right.
formula. And people, you know, Lou's coming in with this running gun offense that he had at the Natty, and it's not going to work at Whiskey. I mean, it's just not. And once you realize that, I think he'll be better off.
Right.
Ole Miss beating A&M, that was a nice dub for them, man. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's crazy that A&M could always hang their hat on their defense, but they're giving up a lot of points, you know, and
yeah. And they got 5 stars all over that defense and offense. I mean, there's not like they're not recruiting dudes. They got dudes. Jimbo's just not coaching the dudes that they have. And you'll see a lot of their guys get drafted in the first round every year because they're good players. They're just not being coached properly, man. I mean,
being coached.
you got to coach them up, and they're not doing it. All right, so this week is another great week, man, with some absolutely fabulous games. Let's dig in.
All right.
You go ahead and dig in. Let me get my notepad here.
All right.
Hang tight. Let's go.
All right. I'm not sure what this is I think a Thursday. I don't have my note in front of me. I think this is a Thursday night game or a Friday night game. This is my pick. West Virginia at Boston College.
No, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech at Boston College. The Hokies favored by 1.5 points. I think they're going to go up there and beat Boston College flat out.
I like that too.
Okay.
That's Nick's lock, but I think that's a good pick.
All right.
They play better at home though than they do on the road, but Boston College is weak, and they actually play better at home. So
right.
I like that. 1.5's nothing. That's a pick 'em game.
Right. And then kind of a sneaky Friday night game that might be good. It's on very late. 10:45. Wyoming at UNLV. I kind of think Miami's going to play well there. They're an underdog, but I think they'll play well. And then
what's the number there, Nick?
UNLV favored by 4.5.
And you like Wyoming there?
Yeah, I think I like Wyoming.
All right, I will take that as well. Wyoming. I know nothing about those teams, but I'm going to take your advice on it. And you like those late night games.
All right.
What do we got Saturday?
Well, then Saturday, right off the bat, monumental game. Michigan Wolverines play their first decent opponent on Veterans Day, which is a joke, but they're at Penn State. I think the line right now is 4.5.
I'm going to take Michigan there, and I think they thump them because they're pissed. And Harbaugh is a vindictive son of a bitch, and he's going to stick the Penn State sideways. And their defense is going to shut down Aller. I like Michigan State big.
Michigan, yeah.
I like Michigan big.
Yeah, okay.
4.5 is nothing.
Yeah. And then Alabama at Kentucky. Kentucky is what they are. I give them a lot of respect. They play hard. They play hard-nosed football. They're outmanned against Alabama, but they're at home and they're getting 10.5. It might be a good game to look in at.
I like Kentucky there to cover that number. I don't think they win the game, but I think they're going to play them because it's at home.
Right.
And Stoops gets them to play hard. You're right, against good teams. But in the end, I mean, Bama, that Dallas Turner, that linebacker for Bama, he is unreal. That guy is a pro. I mean, he is a monster. Monster. The hit he put on Jaden Daniels, elite as it was filthy. He busted right in the chin and rearranged his jaw. I mean, it was a nasty football hit.
Right. Speaking of Jaden Daniels, he's some kind of player, man. I mean, he gets popped, wrecked, face mask, dragged to the ground, and he comes up back and he's stronger than he was before. I mean,
he'll be playing on Sundays. Yeah, he'll be playing on Sundays.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't make it a quarterback, he can make it a linebacker or something. Yeah, he's a serious player.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, and then let's get Texas Tech at Kansas, Maryland at Nebraska. Maryland favored by
Maryland v. Nebraska.
Yeah, in Lincoln.
Yep, and what's the line?
2.5. Maryland favored by.
I'm gonna say Maryland wins and goes bowl eligible there at Nebraska.
All right.
That's not the public sentiment. I think everyone thinks Maryland's gonna trounce. I think they wake up and win this game because I think Nebraska's not great. They're okay, but not great.
Right.
They lost to somebody really. They lost to Michigan State last week, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, so what are they losing to Michigan State? Are you kidding me?
Right.
I think Maryland goes in there and becomes bowl eligible with this win.
Okay, then. All right, the Terps.
Yep.
Then we have Georgia Tech at Clemson.
Georgia Tech v. Clemson. What's that line?
14.5.
And that is my upset pick of the week. Georgia Tech on the money line to take down Clemson. I think, and that's at Clemson, right?
Yes, sir.
I think Georgia Tech beats them. Okay. Georgia Tech's been scoring a lot of points, and Clemson, really, their quarterback gives me a lot of heartburn, man. If they can stop that Maffa kid on Clemson, Georgia Tech beats them straight up. So I'm going to take Georgia Tech on the money line there. That's my upset pick of the week. I think they take them down. Okay.
I think you're right. And I made a mistake. The Virginia Tech Boston College game is Saturday at noon. It's not on at night.
That's still your lock. Yeah.
Okay. Still my lock.
Good.
2 p.m. Saturday, Arizona at Colorado. 9.5 points. I think Arizona's favored by 9.5.
At Colorado?
Yeah.
I'm going to take Deion in Colorado. They're at home. 9.5 points. Yeah. I know they haven't played very well, but I think Arizona plays really good at home. I don't think they play that well at Colorado.
Right.
At Colorado, they're with a 9.5.
All right. Sounds good. And then the 3:30 games, there's two real good ones. The Utah Utes at the Washington Huskies in Seattle. Washington's favored by 9.5 points.
Whew. I'm going to take UW there.
Okay, a solid pick.
14, 17 point win. Yeah, they're good, man. I mean, they're good at home. Utah's better at home. They are on the road. The quarterback, I guess. I mean, if they had a healthy quarterback, you're right. They'd be playing for a championship. But they got a backup quarterback going to a hostile environment. It'll be loud there. Washington beats them by 14, 17.
Right. And then Rutgers at Iowa. Iowa was favored by 2.5, but I think the story is the over-under, which is down to 28.5. So it's like a 15-14 game goes over.
15-14 would go over, yes. But not a 13-10 game.
Right.
So what's the what's the favor? What's the spread?
Iowa by 2.5.
I'm going to take Rutgers.
Okay.
And I'm also going to take the under.
All right.
I see Rutgers winning 13-10, 13-7. Iowa's terrible on offense. Terrible. And they're great on defense. But I like Rutgers, man. I think they've been playing really tough.
Okay, and then here's a game that both of us go way back with. It brings back a lot of great memories. Miami at Florida State in Tallahassee. Florida State favored by 14 and a half.
Yeah, that's something, man. I'm gonna take
Hmm.
Miami with the points. I think they still
Oh,
lose. And that
all
would
right,
be if I was going to a game this week because I'm nostalgic and I love the old rivalries. I mean, we've already said we're going to go to Penn State for one game earlier in the year.
right,
I would go to this game. Tallahassee is a great college town, a lot of stuff to
right,
do. The stadium is right in the dead middle of campus, kind of like Bama. Everything's
right,
built around the stadium, the dorms, the fraternities, sororities are
right,
all built near the near the stadium. It's a walkable stadium from campus. The bars are right there near the campus as well. It's a very cool college town, great sports fans. Last time I was there was for the wide right game,
right,
1991. Me and Jimmy Moy were there.
right,
We never got a ticket to the game, but some guy had an apartment literally 10 feet from the entrance to the stadium on the second floor overlooking the game. That's where he watches all the games. He invited us up. We drank beers with him and watched the whole game from his apartment. It was like being at
right,
the game without being in the game.
right,
Miami won, and the whole town went dry. It's like nobody went out that night. Me and Jimmy hit all the bars. There was not a soul out that night after that loss.
right,
So it was. If they win, it's going to be insane. But if Miami pulls off an upset, which I don't know if I don't think they will. I think Florida State's pretty good. Uh,
right,
the town goes completely quiet. Now, if they win, it'll be insane there. It'll be a lot of Miami fans there.
right,
Um, it will be a great atmosphere. That game is starting to get some juice again, right? Now that
right.
Miami's gotten good again and Florida State's back to being good. They were bad for a few years. So I'm gonna take the Hurricanes and the 14 and a half, but I think they lose
All right,
10, maybe 7.
all right, all right. That's a good bet, I think. All right. Then we have dinner, and then we hit the 7 o'clock games Eastern. First one up on the slate is West Virginia at Oklahoma in Norman. Oklahoma is a 12 and a half point favorite.
Well, obviously by the shirt I'm wearing,
Right.
I'm taking on West Virginia,
Okay.
WVU. I do think that they will score a ton of points on Norman, and Oklahoma will score also. What's the over under on that?
58 and a half.
58 and a half. And I will take the over for a double bet on that game
All right.
because I think that'll be a high scoring affair. But I like WVU, who has some momentum, who's playing really good, saving Neil Brown's job. And I think Oklahoma Venerables, they lose.
I think his job's safe at this point.
So do I. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
he's gonna win 9 games,
right,
8 games, whatever.
right,
He'll go to a nice bowl. But
right.
there you gotta play for championships, man. I mean, and he's a defensive coach too, isn't he? From Clemson. He came over as a defensive specialist. Clemson's defensive coach, defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I think he was a head coach at Troy for a while.
Yeah. But
He's
under
a bright
Sweeney.
guy.
He ran their defense under Sweeney. So I mean,
Right,
there's no defense to be had there, man. I mean, they are Swiss cheese. So
right,
I think WVU definitely covers the 12 and a half and has a chance to win the game.
right. Okay. And then the 7:30 games, you have Texas at TCU. Not a big game, but I just wanted to mention it. And then Florida at
What's the line
LSU.
there? What's the line there?
Texas by 10.
Yeah, I think Texas beats them. TCU's not very good this year, right?
Yeah, they win the final last January, but
Yeah, they lost a lot of guys from that team,
right,
though. All right,
right.
Florida at LSU,
LSU favored by 2 touchdowns.
14.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take LSU and lay the number. I think LSU beats them pretty badly. Florida's
Okay.
not very good, man. I mean, I don't know
Right.
what to say. I mean, they lost to Arkansas. I think it was 2-4 before that game. I mean, you can't lose to Arkansas
Right.
at home. You just can't.
Right.
And not that Arkansas is bad, but they're not good. So
Right.
Florida's worse, and LSU is going to be pissed after the Alabama game, you know.
Right. Right.
So I think they take it out on Florida. I don't know what the status of Daniels is, if he's hurt and
He's
not.
playing, man.
You think so?
He could be. He could have a broken foot, and he's playing. That guy is tough,
It's like the
man.
second coming of Kenny Stabler.
Yeah, he's
The
that guy.
snake. It's like
He's
the
wild. I
snake.
mean, he's getting decked, dragged through the mud.
Yeah, yeah.
And he just comes back harder. I mean,
Bama hit him hard, man.
Yeah.
Bama hit him hard.
Right.
All right.
Right.
What else we got?
8 o'clock, we got it would be a better game. I guess Riley Leonard being injured hurts it. Duke got North Carolina. North Carolina favored by 10.5.
I have no opinion of that game. Screw both.
Okay. All right. And then we move on back over to the West Coast at 9 o'clock. Arizona State at UCLA. I'm just mentioning it. UCLA has played three tough road games, lost them all at Utah, at Oregon State, and at Arizona. They're a big favorite here because I think the Sun Devil program is in disarray, but it's not really a game worth noting. But there's a good game at night. USC at Oregon. Oregon's favored by 14.5 at home. The over-under is high, 74.5. One thing I wanted to mention, Coach Lanning at Oregon, he runs up the score. Last week against Cal, he's going to run it up. So you got to keep that in mind.
I'm going to take USC with the number. I don't think USC can stop anybody, but
Right.
I think that'll be a back and forth scoring thing. I mean, Caleb Williams is a beast. I would take Jaden Daniels over him if I was drafting a quarterback.
Right.
I think Caleb's really good. He could be a decent pro. And I also like the over. Double bet.
Right.
Because 74 seems outrageous, but these guys are going to light up the scoreboard. These two, right?
Right.
Like you said, Landon's going to run it up. But
He
he's
has
going to be scoring too.
no qualms about running it up.
Yeah.
And then there's a late get right game. The old Hawaii game shows up this week. Air Force lost their first game last week, got dumped pretty badly by Army at Hawaii. Hawaii favored by 18.5, but sometimes it's fun to watch Hawaii to get your pocketbook right after a day of betting.
Wait, Hawaii's favored by 18.5?
No, Air Force is favored by 18.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't bet the Hawaii games because I'm usually fast asleep at 4 a.m.
Right.
When that game kicks off.
Right.
But I mean, the Hawaii games, what are those games for guys to go on vacation for a week? Because they get there early for that game, right? Because of the time change.
I think they have to, yeah.
Yeah, so they're there enjoying it. Teams don't usually show up, so I am going 18.5. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I'm going to take Hawaii in the number.
All right.
Because I think Air Force is going to be having a good time while they're there,
Right.
Plus 18.5. I'm going to take Hawaii in the number.
All right.
All right, it's a good week, man. There's a lot
That's
of
it, man. Good slate. A lot of good games, right?
Yeah.
Penn State, Michigan, Miami, Florida State.
Yep.
And then at night you have Oregon and USC.
Yeah, I mean, and then you got Ole Miss and Georgia too. Don't forget about that.
Ole Miss and Georgia.
That should be a pretty good tilt to determine. I mean, there's two games to determine some stuff with the playoff. It's Michigan, Penn State, and Ole Miss, Georgia. Two teams are going to be if the one-loss teams lose, they're out.
Right.
But if they win, it muddles things up a little bit, you know?
Right.
If they win, it muddles things up and puts both of them, Ole Miss and Penn State, right in the thick of things, man.
Right. Right. Right.
And Missouri's still there, kind of with 2 losses, but they're pretty good.
But they're strong. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good, man. And I mean, LSU's out of it, and Bama. I mean, I don't see Bama going down this week to Kentucky, but the Kentucky will play them tough.
Right.
I don't know, man. I mean, it was an interesting week, and it's going to get more interesting. It's starting to crunch down a little bit, right?
Right.
The good teams.
Well, we're in November now, you know,
Yeah.
the winds of November.
Right. Weather's changing a little bit.
Right.
So ready to go, Nick. Let's do it this week.
Me too, man.
Heading down to Florida tomorrow for my brother's wedding. My brother's Toots' son's getting married Friday.
Fantastic.
Me and Shelly and the kids are heading down. They're not Sophia, but Olivia and Ian are. And
all right.
Flying down tomorrow. Wedding's on Friday. I'll be back Saturday. It was the weekend, actually. Me and Butch were supposed to go to Nebraska, Maryland.
Okay.
Road trips, but we had to bail on that.
Right.
There's some great games, by the way, real quick for next year. There's some great road trips with the expansion of the Big Ten, you know. I mean, there's some USC at Penn State, Maryland at UCLA, right? Does Maryland play at UCLA? No, Maryland at Oregon. Maryland and Eugene.
Right.
There is Miami was supposed to play at Notre Dame, and that got moved around when they added Cal and Stanford. So they're playing them in 25 in Miami.
All right.
That's a game we'll have to go to, but we need to put some things in the calendar for next year. The Red River is top priority, and I'd like to go to the cocktail party too in Jacksonville. Those two are priority games next year, and then a host of other ones. So looking forward to another great year. But let's finish out this year strong. College basketball's full swing.
Right.
You know, the upsets are already happening. They always do, man. They always do, especially early on.
Right.
And it's hard to bet on college basketball now because you don't know who's who and what's what. I like to wait till January before I start laying any lumber down on games.
Right.
You just don't know. So that's it, man. Great show. We will soon. I will be texting you sorry I didn't reach out to you on Saturday during the Maryland game. It was such a beatdown so early that I just didn't have the heart to.
No sweat, man. No sweat. It should be a good one out there in Lincoln.
Yeah, I like us to win that game and go bowl eligible. That's
right.
Not because no one thinks Maryland has any chance in hell, but I think that he gets him up, Locks gets him up for that game, and kind of saves his job with that win. So,
I think so. Yeah. All right.
All right, man. See you.
All right. Thank you. Nice. Always good fun.
Yeah, man.
Be well.
See you.
See you.